In this video, I'm going to go through how I'm able to charge over $25,000 for a Squarespace website. Now, I've tried to record this video a few times, and every time when I start, I say, oh, welcome to the video. Here's how I charge $25,000, blah, 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 for a simple Squarespace website. Now, that's where I keep messing up because it's not a simple Squarespace website that I build for $25,000 and above. I want to get that caveat out of the way before, people go into the comments like, oh, you can just do a template for a simple website. Yeah, you can, but it's not going to look the best. It's not going to be bespoke to your client's needs, and it's just going to look very samey and Squarespacey. What I specialize in, or what me and my team specialize in, is designing and developing websites that don't look like they were built on Squarespace. And that's the beauty of it, because whilst Squarespace offers, I believe, unparalleled user experience on the back end for people who want to manage their website, a lot of them tend to look the same because people don't know how to customize their website to the degree that it can be customized. So don't think that you can just build, or that I build, a simple website that takes like a day and then I charge 25k for it. That's just not the case. You can see on my own portfolio, so go to buycrawford.com/portfolio, the sorts of things that we build. That will give you a better idea of like the quality that we're putting out, and give you a clue as to, if you want to get to that $25,000 range, the level that you need to be at. But in this video, I'm going to break down all of the different things that I do, how I got here, and hopefully get you to start increasing your rate, maybe not to 25k straight away, but definitely get further towards there than you thought possible. Because the thing is, most people, let's say they get into web design in general, they have this limiting belief that no one is going to pay them, and no one is going to pay for a website specifically or they're not going to pay, let's say, over 2k. This is where most people seem to cap themselves. I don't know about WordPress, Wix, Webflow, etc. But in Squarespace, people just don't believe that any business out there is going to be paying over even like $500. It's ridiculous the amount of not self-degradation, but just capping oneself at a certain level. So even just knowing that it's possible should be enough to get you to start charging more, just straight off the bat. Now, off to my left here, you're going to see me looking down. I've got some notes because I want to get across as much as possible in as short a time frame as possible in this video. So I'm going to make sure that we hit every single point. Now, number one is who I am, what I do. So if you are new here, my name is Sam Crawford. I am a leading Squarespace website design expert. I do talks on stage for Squarespace. I do online webinars for Squarespace. I coach over probably like 1,000 students now how to scale their income with Squarespace. There's two different things I offer. There are for rank beginners who want to get into web design and Squarespace in general. Link to that is in the description. And then for people who know what Squarespace is, are pretty decent at it, I have Six Figure Design Club, which is my main offer, which is where I coach roughly 300 of those students on how to scale to 100k and beyond within a year. So that's who I am, what I do. I also still run my own Squarespace agency. If you go into ChatGPT and you ask it, who's the best Squarespace designer in the world, hopefully it should come up with my name. So in terms of accolades and trusting me, hopefully that's enough. Now, ChatGPT may make me look stupid if I don't come up there, but I've tested this on a few different phones and it works. So, flex over, let's get into the juice. Or the sauce, should I say. Now, important thing to note is that not every website is going to be this. So I start my builds for a basic 4-page Squarespace website, no code, £3,500, which equates to roughly, $4.5k dollars. So it's not like every single website that I build is 25k. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's also not like every website that I build is mostly under 25k. I do a lot over as well. So I have said this in videos before, but my highest ever is a $70,000 web design project on Squarespace. This was for a school board in Canada, super random, but we built like one main website and duplicated it 10 times and just changed the content. So, realistically, that's not for one site, it's for a group, but it was basically one website project. So you can have such a vast range, and I still have a vast range. So this isn't the blueprint for every website being 25k. Important to note. Now, the myth of Squarespace just being a drag and drop editor, kind of alluded to this at the start, but if you are coming into Squarespace and you just don't think anyone is going to pay you, let's say even 5k plus for a Squarespace website, that's because no one's going to pay you right now that money because you don't know how to actually manipulate the platform. You don't know how to stack blocks in a certain way to get a certain effect. You don't know how to add, specific functionality to a website. You just don't quite have that knowledge yet. But it's also not that difficult to obtain. If you can bring value to a business, so think finance firms, think construction firms, think medical, think technology, SaaS, whatever it is, that's where the big bucks lie. And you can bring value to these companies. These are the kind of guys who are going to pay you a lot of money. And you also don't need crazy design nous for this. The people who want the craziest designs are usually the solopreneurs who just want to implement all of their own wacky ideas. And so this is kind of like a double point, I guess, in that the higher paying clients want less and less ridiculous designs. They just want clear, functional design that's going to drive conversions. So think, what is the outcome? What's the call to action for this website? Is it going to be maybe the company's looking for investment? So is it going to be download our investment form or our brochure or get in touch or whatever it's going to be? Can you make sure people are actually, I've got something in my eye, can you make sure people are actually doing that thing, and can you make it look nice and slick? That's not that hard to do. Now, the point initially, before I went off on a tangent, was Squarespace is not just a drag and drop editor. You can make something that looks incredible with the drag and drop functions and Fluid Engine, which is where you can resize anything to be whatever you want. Essentially, it's like Canva, where you can drag elements to be exactly where you want them to be. But you can also use CSS, so you can add some code in. And the thing is, you don't even have to learn how to code. You can just copy and paste code from the internet. That is what most web designers do. They're not sitting there hand coding everything anyway. You use the drag and drop editor as your base, and then you add the code on top if needed. Just simple stylistic CSS. Or you want to make a button change into a certain shape on hover. Well, Google that, go into the Squarespace forum, someone will have already solved it. If you want to add like a filter, let's say, that's not CSS, that's JavaScript. Well, that filter exists as a plugin. Look at a company called Square Websites. They have something called Universal Filter. You copy and paste, and the filter appears. So you don't have to know everything. You just need to know how to leverage plugins. Well, not plugins really, they're just code snippets. It's not plugins in the sense of like a WordPress website where you need 5 gajillion plugins to make it work. It's just like a simple code that you copy and paste. So yes, it's not a drag and drop editor. Yes, you don't need to know how to code. And yes, you can just copy and paste codes to make something look amazing. Now, just knowing that it's not just a drag and drop editor, again, unshackles you from like just this self-limiting belief of no one's going to pay for A, me, or B, a Squarespace website. And a lot of this video is just going to be coming back to that point. People will. You just need to reframe, or not even reframe it in your mind. You just need to realize that you're thinking yourself and Squarespace are too small. You need to start thinking of yourself as the expert, positioning yourself as such, And also Squarespace, you need to be doing the exact same. So positioning Squarespace as the Goldilocks platform. It has excellent usability on the front and the back end. It offers ease to clients, and especially large corporate clients. This is where the money is, the large corporations and non-profits. These will have multiple people from their teams working on the site. And so if you can offer a beautiful website, but that all of these different people can add blogs to, events to, can change text and colours, all of this, then it's a game changer, because it allows that company to, or organisation, whatever you want to call it, it allows them to scale without breaking anything, which is why so many people come from custom platforms to me and they say, hey Sam, we're spending currently 5 to 10k a month, and that sounds stupid, but they are, on website hosting, whatever website hosting is with these web developers, where we can't actually change the colour of this text, or we can't actually add a blog, we have to ask them to add a blog. And it's so backwards. But clients don't know what they don't know. And inversely, you don't know what you don't know. You don't realise that all these clients exist and they're having all these problems, and you are the solution to them. But without me telling you, you just have no clue it exists. So think of this as your confirmation that these people do exist, and once you start finding them, they will come back to you for repeat work. They may even hire you on that maintenance plan, except instead of 5 to 10k, it may be a couple of $100 a month just to add a few blogs here and there, maybe do an hour of work on the site. And so before long, you've got $1,000 in retainers. You're charging 10, 15k for these corporate websites. Now, again, you're probably thinking, well, 5, 10k or 10, 15k even, that's an exorbitant amount of money. Well, yes, it is for small startups and solopreneurs. We don't really want to be working with these people anyway if we have ambitions to scale. So let's say in this crude example that this company was paying 5k a month for their hosting. Well, if you can build something in a month that frees them from that contract, and that only costs them $300 to $400 a year to maintain, or then that 15k no longer is exorbitant, and in fact it's a bargain, because you're saving them so much money. You're giving them a better product, far more usable, and far cheaper. So, okay, it's maybe a lot for you, but for them it's not. And with this type of client, they are not spending their money, they're spending the company's money. And so they're no longer attached to the mindset of, oh, it's going to cost X, I could just do it myself. That's not the type of person you want to work with. They're thinking purely from a standpoint of, okay, it's going to cost X, but it's going to save us Y and give us Z value. So hopefully that makes sense. I do tend to go off on crazy tangents. Anyway, I do hope that makes sense. Why do people pay this? Okay, yeah, I've kind of skipped way ahead, as I always do. But why do people pay, 25k plus for a Squarespace website? Well, it all starts on the call. And what I mean by this is they start to list all of the things that they hate about their current website, all of the issues that they're having. If they don't have a current website, well, all the things they want, they get really invested into telling you all of this stuff. As long as you just sit back and listen, they are selling themselves almost. They're building their dream by just speaking it aloud, and by just sitting and listening and then saying, okay, great, hey, I'm going to send you my onboard form. Then they're like, oh, okay, great. Well, I'm going to get all of this stuff and we know what the next steps are, and the client gets excited. You're not selling yourself on the call. So what I do is on the call, I'll send the onboard form in the link. And in my onboard form, I have my pricing. So we have 3 tiers. Tier 1, 3.5k plus. Tier 2, 6.5k plus. Tier 3, 20k plus. So it's Tier 3 is like 7 pages, unlimited code, and it's all like mocked up in Figma first. So it is good value. But they see all the pricing, and so they will tell me on the call there and then whether this is a go or it's not, because they'll quickly, scroll to the pricing. I'll say, hey, we're super transparent, check it out. And so they do. And if they go, okay, great, cool, well, then I know that they've almost given me consent to charge whatever that rate is. And especially if they then go ahead and fill out the form and they select their tier, I know, okay, the client is willing to pay at least, what's at the bottom of that tier. So if you've got people who are just ticking tier 3, or in my case, ticking tier 3, I know, okay, £20,000 at least, fine. They've agreed to it, they understand what I offer, how much it costs, blah, blah, blah. Now that could go up to 40, 50K, depending on, the bottom is seven pages. They want 70, well then it's going to be a whole lot more. But they know it's going to be at least 20K. So it starts on the call, and there's a few different things. Like I will show in my portfolio the beauty and the function. So two really important things, beauty and function. I touched on it before. Can you offer a beautiful site? Can you offer a functional site? Most people can't do both. Most people can't even do one. So if you can't, if you are objective and you say, do you know what? I actually don't know how to make a beautiful website. I actually don't understand design principles. I actually don't know what makes a site function. Well, then you need to go away, go back to the drawing board and try and get some education. Now, this isn't going back to college or university and going, okay, I need to do a design degree. It could just be taking a 12-hour course online. Do it if you're in Squarespace specifically, not specifically. Then there's a really good course by a lady called Rach DeLuna, also known as Square Stylist. She has a course called Standout Squarespace that teaches you everything you need to know about design on Squarespace. So that's a really good place to look. That will teach you both beauty and function. If not, there's lots of other places as well. Go on to plugin stores, try and sort of, reverse engineer. Try and reverse engineer what makes these codes work so well. Look at templates. What makes this template look so much better than what I can create? Try and recreate that template in your own Squarespace dashboard. So you can check out these templates and think, okay, why do they have a button there? Why do they have text there? What is it about this color that works so well? And you can ask yourself all of these questions, recreate it. And this is what I did. Like, I actually didn't have any formal education around design. I did do Rachel's course. I think I got about 50 or 60% of the way through and then just started doing my own thing. But reverse engineering codes and asking questions in communities and looking at templates and why they worked and why my designs didn't work was an integral part of my sort of self-education. So if you can have a beautiful website that doesn't look Squarespacey and a functional website at the same time, whilst also having clear tiers that you can display to clients, well, you're onto a winner because you get that buy-in on the call, and especially then if they fill in the form, then that is the banker. Then you know in your head, I can deliver wonderful websites. I have a great idea of design principles and I can make things functional. Well, then you should then have the confidence to go ahead and at least bring up your rates. So competence equals confidence. If you know that you can deliver, then you have a bit more of a confident tone when you speak to clients, when you engage with them on a call, when you send them the form, when they're taking a look through. Don't try and fill the gap. Don't try and jump in and say, hey, well, actually, those prices, they're not like set in stone. Just let the client read and gauge what they say to you. If they're like, whoa, this is like way too much, say, okay, cool. What were you thinking? And then if the price is actually something that you would consider, well, then you can go for it. If it's way below, you can say, okay, cool, no problem. So, that marks the end of our call, but I do wish you all the best. And that way you don't waste your time. What else have we got in here? So this one's personal to me. So I've made notes, my reputation, good final product, many sites done, an official representative. So all of that to say, I've built 450, maybe even 500 Squarespace websites now. I do talks for Squarespace, lots of them, official events. I teach like tons of other students. I build at least 100 sites a year, and I have just a huge bank of built sites. I have so many that 80% don't even make it onto my portfolio. I only pick the very best of the best. And so I have the competence equals confident mindset on calls. Clients can see my work. They've probably seen me doing Squarespace stuff. I'm pre-vetted before we even get on the call. And so that's personal to me, but think of it for yourself. Do you have an edge? Do you have something that helps you stand out from the crowd? Do you have, I don't know, an art degree or whatever it is? Try and think what your edge is. Craft an edge so before you even hop on the call with a client, they have this idea of you in their head. They're kind of almost selling you to them themselves. Does that even make sense? They are selling themselves on you before you even hop on the call. What else have we got? There's more nuance. You probably won't be able to charge this for a while. It took me 3.5 years, also known as 3.5 years. So yeah, I'm not promising in this video that like I'll take you to a 25k website overnight or even in a year, to be honest, but it is possible. So I started in 2019, and I think the first $1,000 website I got was 2020. Yeah, I think so. The first $20,000 website I got was in 2023, and the 70k one was last year. So you can see it's almost like a hockey stick, like this, and then bang, it goes way up. So if you're putting the correct principles in place, like every single day for a couple of years, you may go 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 16. Like there are big jumps because of just the compound effect. Once you are excellent and you get more and more proof of concept and you're more and more confident on calls and you have this larger and larger body of work behind you, and also you will bump up the tiers of pricing, over time anyway. You will see huge gains in the rate that you charge for a website. I would say often you need to bump up your rate before you're comfortable, to be honest. But there's this detachment that happens when you do like this tiered pricing within your form, because you don't have to say anything on a call. You just say to the client, hey, here's the form. And, it takes a lot less effort to change the minimum fee by 500 than to say to a client, oh, instead of 2,000, it's 2,500. It takes the fear out of it. And this is something I've been experimenting with. It's been very successful so far. And so I would encourage you to try it as well. Even if you start charging 5k, it's a win. Just knowing it can be done is the biggest hurdle. And then I've put Roger Bannister. So for those of you who don't know, Roger Bannister, I think, was the first person to run a 4 or 5 minute mile. Alexa, how far did Roger Bannister run?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Roger Bannister was the first athlete to run a mile in under 4 minutes.
There we go. Alexa, stop. Okay, so thanks to Alexa, he was under 4 minutes. So first guy ever to run a sub 4 minute mile. No one thought it was possible for a human to do this. And then once he did it, people started doing it, because once it's done by one person, all the next person has to do is match it, because they know that it can be done. Just knowing something can be done, I don't know what it is, but it just unlocks something in people's minds. Some people will still look at this and go, well, he's different, or he has gifts, or whatever. But other people will say, well, if he can do it, why can't I do it too? So let's apply, take Roger's example and put that into Squarespace. Imagine I'm Roger Bannister for Squarespace. First person ever to charge, I don't know, whatever. But, I have charged 25k on at least 10 occasions, probably even more, to be honest, maybe 20. And so I have shown it can be done. I have no formal design training. I went to university but did sports psychology. Like, I had nothing to do with design. And I didn't do it overnight, but I did do it within quite a short time span. Like 5 years is quite a short amount of time to go from nothing, didn't even know how websites were built, like didn't know any function behind a website whatsoever, to, you know, someone who speaks on stage for Squarespace and charges 25k plus for a site and, you know, makes 75k plus per month. Like, I'm not special. I mean, that sounds like every LinkedIn post ever, but it's not like I was born for this, you know. It was start here, start small, learn, charge more, bang, and then it goes up and up and up. And once you get past that, what's it called? Not an inflection point, I don't know, but once you get past here, you go into like warp speed. Like, once you're operating in that 5k mark, you don't tend to dip below it, to be honest. And even when you start earning 10k a month, you tend not to dip below 10k a month once you hit that threshold just once. So, like my note said, just knowing that it can be done is the biggest part of the battle. But then, even going from, let's say, you're charging $500 to $1,000, making a jump to 5k is huge. Okay, it's not 25k, but it's 10 times more than what you were doing, or up to 10 times more than what you were doing. So this is huge. If you're in year 1, okay, massive. If you're in year 2, still good. Year 3, still good. By year 4, it's just going to go up and up and up. But you've got to stick with it. You've got to still do all of the things that got you to that point. What I see people do is they get to a certain point and they stop doing all of the basics, all the foundations. They stop pitching. They stop putting out LinkedIn content. They stop doing everything that got them to where they were. They stagnate, they drop off, and they just give up. Because they're like, oh, well, if me at the top of the game can't get leads, then the leads must be gone. Whereas actually, it was everyone underneath them working hard, doing the things that they did, but doing them consistently and better, who've slowly then took all of their leads because they got complacent and soft. So don't do that. Don't be this person. Be this person who's always hungry, always trying to be better, always trying to service more clients and better. Can you do more of it, and can you do it better? Those are the two things you need to ask yourself every single day. Could I be doing more of this? And if not, could I be doing it better? If you can continue to do it better, do so. And then once you can't do it any better, do more. And once you stop being able to do any more, do it better. And it's just, you repeat this cycle ad infinitum. That was too much of a big word for me to use. What else have we got? You can do this many times concurrently. That's the final point, is that 25k isn't like just this one-time thing. You can stack this over and over and over again. I have 35 clients at the minute, 35. Now, a lot of that is down to Upwork. So on Upwork, I'm still trying to, I'm back to trying to build my rank. Someone told me, a guy called Remote Oliver, that you can get like 10k clients on Upwork. And I was like, if I can get 10k clients on Upwork, I'm happy. So I'm in the process of doing lots and lots of very low paying work on there right now. You can actually go and check it out. I think my Upwork profile is like Sam Crawford 11. You can check out my progress. Anyway, point being is you can stack so many projects. A lot of my students will do between 5 and 15 a month, and they'll stack like between 1 and maybe 5k projects. So, you know, you can see how much that adds up over a month. So don't think you are just shooting for one big project and you finish that and I've got to go out and look for another project. No, you should be, once you get that, looking for as many projects as possible at the same time. Because once you land one big paying project, then this is the time to start trying new rates. Start trying to up your rates ever so slightly, because you're coming at negotiations from a much stronger standpoint. It's always better to look for a job when you have a job than to look for a job when you haven't. So that's a really important thing to note. And I think that's it. So that's a lot to take in. I'll make sure I add chapters, but hopefully that's allowed you a bit of an insight into how you can go from essentially nothing to 25k plus per project on Squarespace. Now this works for every platform. If you're a Wix developer, Webflow developer, WordPress, whatever, it works for every web designer. I'm just doing it in Squarespace. So hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and hit subscribe. And if you want the workbook that goes with this video that teaches you how to get to that 25k project, then the link will be in the description to get that for free.